Alright, so I'm about to make a unit circle using Pygame. So I'm gonna start off with importing Pygame using nickname PG to shorten it. Then I'm gonna initiate it. I'm gonna make a surface variable called screen and assign it with the display set mode, which would be the resolution of 800 by 800 that I'm giving it. Then I'm going to set the display, my window name to unit circle, just for decoration. Variable clock. This is going to be pygame.time.clock. It's a clock instance to track time. Then I'm going to create my main function, set a variable called run with the boolean true. And basically this is saying while true. Here I want to create a delta time variable using clock.tick for 60 FPS. Make a variable called events and use pygame.event.get, and this is going to return a list of events like key presses, mouse clicks, window interactions, and this will give me in milliseconds just the time in between frames that I'm getting. Make a for loop for events in my events list. This is a iteration. If my event.type is pygame quit, which would be the X on the window, or event.type is pygame key down, this is detecting if the key is pressed, and if a key is pressed, also check for an event.key and check if it's the same as a pygame.key escape. And if either of those are activated or sensed to be true, set run to false, and now that this is false, this won't be able to run anymore and the while loop closes. After, let's do pygame.display.flip. This is gonna send me to the next frame. It's gonna refresh it, and right after I want to make another if statement, as all Python files should have, if name equals main, and then I'm gonna call my main function. So now that I got this, I can run it, and here's my window. And you know, black background, kind of lame. So I'm gonna get my screen surface, because this returns a surface of 800 by 800 pixels for me to draw on my window. I'm gonna fill the surface with a light gray color, and now we got a light gray color. Let's make another file called circle.py, and in here I'm gonna import Pygame again, and here's where we're gonna do all the math. So from math, import cosine and sine. Those are the ones that we're gonna need. And let's make a class called unit circle init method. I want to pass in my screen surface. So while we got this little empty class, we can import it here. From my circle file, import unit circle, and right here we can call this circle, unit circle, and this we will pass the screen as needed. And this is going to be an instance of it. Above the fill line, we're going to do circle. Let's put something empty right now. Draw, and then pass. So here, dot draw, and it doesn't need anything for now, and we can just have it there. So if we run it, nothing's happening, no crash, that's good, but we know it's working. We're going to be using a lot of the screen dimensions, so I think it'd be better to have a constants file, and in here we're going to have the screen width and the screen height be 800 by 800, and so we don't gotta kind of put those two there, two imports. We can have win res, and in here from constants import WinRes, and then we can replace this part with that. In here, from constants, here we're going to use the actual width and height constants, and here's where all the math is going to happen. We're going to have kind of a dot moving around to represent the coordinate position of where we are on the unit circle. So we're going to have a position attribute called Pygame vector2. This is going to be the type, and it's going to be empty for now. We want to update the degrees in order to kind of automatically go around the unit circle. So we're going to make a method called update degrees, and self.degrees, we're just going to keep adding 1. If self.degrees greater than or equal to 360, because that's going to be the entire circle loop, just set it back to 0. So it's going to go from 0 to hopefully 359, then back to 0, and the loop just keeps going. All right, and we can put update degrees here. Oh, I forgot self.update degrees, and then print self.degrees just to kind of see what it's going to be at. So if we look down here, it'll get to, yeah, it got to 360 and then it ended. If I go back, right here, 359 and then back to 0. Let's do cosine first. So we're going to do update cosine. That's going to be the name of the method. And we're going to have a new x position, and that's going to be using cosine of the current degrees, and we're going to set our variable x equal to new x position, and you'll see why I'm doing this instead of self.posX equals cosine in a bit. Let's draw a circle to kind of represent where our thing is even at. So after updating degrees and updating cosine, of course, so that our dot is actually moving around, we're going to use pygame.draw.circle. We're going to use the screen surface that we input to draw on. We're going to make the dot black, locate it in self position, and it's going to be the thickness of 6 pixels in the radius. Okay, now when we run it, you can see it's kind of blocked, but that's the circle right there. It is a little too small, so I want to amplify it by 200. Okay, you can see it's kind of moving pretty fast. So there's the way to fix that. So the reason it's moving fast is because it's updating as fast as this while loop is going. So we want to use the time in between frames to kind of help us here. So in our draw, I'm going to put dt as an argument and then put it here as a parameter. And in update degrees, I'm going to give that dt and then let the input there. And in the degrees, I'm going to divide it by our delta time. So this is going to slow it down by a lot. Yeah, now you can see it's moving kind of slowly dependent on the 60 FPS time frame. Okay, and we kind of want the circle to be at the center. So in here, I kind of want to circle this in. We're going to add to every position the screen width divided by 2. And that's, half of it. So once we start it up, now we can see that the dot is in the center of the screen. All right, let's do the sign one now. So using update sign method, I'm going to do a new position sign and input the degrees. Self dot position dot y equals, and then we can kind of copy and paste this. New y times 200 amplitude. And then here we're going to do the height this time to kind of push it downwards. Self dot update dot sign. Okay. Now you can see it's going in a circle kind of shape outline. Let's draw the circle. So up here, we're going to make a new method called draw circle. And this is going to be just a one-liner. Pygame.draw circle. And it's going to be kind of what we did before. On our screen surface, the color black, and width divided by 2 and height divided by 2. This is going to be the center of the circle. And the thickness, we just want it 2. Let's put it after our calculations. Self.draw circle. So if you want to organize this a bit, we can comment these as calculations. And here's going to be our drawing. Okay. Now if we run it, oh, there it is, very small. Size 200, thickness 1. There we go. So I put 200 because that's our, amplitude. So you could see it's kind of tracing our circle here. Thickness of 1 pixel. So let's draw a line going from the center of the circle to our dots. And that will be using another method called draw radius. And here we're going to do draw. And this time we're going to use a line. So same concept on our screen. Color black. And width divided by 2, height divided by 2. So this is our start position. We're starting to draw the line at the center of the screen, and we're going to end it at our position where the dot is, and that'll give us an illusion of the radius of the circle. And if I were to draw my radius now, you can see from the center to the position. Okay. All right. So now that we got the circle radius and all that going, I think it would look pretty cool if we have a line showing the X position on the screen and a line showing the Y position. So in our cosine, we're going to use draw line on the screen, and we're going to make it red this time to kind of differentiate from everything else. And the start position is going to be in, okay. So the start, it's going to be on Y. The Y is going to be 0. So we want to start it at the top of the screen, moving around wherever the X position is. So that's going to be at the top of the screen. And where the line ends drawing, we're going to stop it still in our X position, but this time at our screen height, which is going to be the bottom. So it's going to start at the top and at the bottom, but the line is going to follow that wherever our X position is, and we're going to make the thickness 2. So now if I start this up, you can see that it's kind of tracing where the X position is. And it's kind of the same for the Y. Screen, we're going to make this blue. And these two are going to be different. So here's going to be 0, self pause Y. So we want it to draw at the X equals 0. That's going to be the start, but following the Y position. And here we're going to use the width and end with the Y position. So I want the line to start here on the Y and end on the right side of the screen. Yeah, just like this. So now you kind of have a pinpoint of the X and Y where it is on the circle. One last thing. I want to draw a triangle here. Draw a triangle. This one's not going to be too difficult. So draw line on my screen. And we're going to make the triangle orange to kind of separate it from everyone else. And we're going to have the line starting at the center. And you could see here, there's a lot of center coordinates. So just to kind of make it easier on ourselves, width divided by 2, height divided by 2. There, that's our center position. And that's going to be a tuple. Down here, we want to replace all of those with the center. Now it's kind of easier to read and to kind of understand what's going on. Here we're going to put the center and self pos x, height divided by 2, thickness 2. This right here, let's see. Yeah, this right here is going to draw a horizontal line, and you can kind of see the triangle kind of already forming. But yeah, that's going to be the horizontal line, and that's the one half of the triangle. And for the other draw line, this one's going to be a little different. Orange. So instead of center, I want to have it start on wherever this one ended. So it's going to be basically on the sides of the circle starting. And then I want it to end wherever the position is. And that's going to give me kind of the Y difference between the center of the circle and where the position is. And thickness 2 pixels. And here you can kind of see the orange line right here. And you can see the full triangle form. If you want to make the radius or combine the radius in here, that works too. Let's put that in here. Make it orange as well. Delete the radius. And now we have just the full-fledged triangle. So we have the triangle, we have the X and the Y, and our circle going around based on sine and cosine. So here we are done. We have degree calculation. We have a line with cosine and sine. We have our circle. We have a triangle. And here's our complete draw method combining everything. In our main, it's much simpler. We have the instance, window creation, imports, event handling, and then our draw, which we call with delta time as an input, refresh, and our run. And it looks like this.